We are going to watch this 14-year-old in this Fendi bucket hat absolutely shred Mike Addamo. Performance unreal, shredded everybody, max value everywhere. These young guys don't care anymore. They just don't care. They're coming after us. I can tell you one thing about this final table and what bucket hat does. He did not care about the payout structure or not gambling. We have a teenager in a bucket hat just tanking. And I'm scared. He met his maker at this final table here. I never thought I'd see the day. I had been playing with Mike forever. I was there through his entire upswing when he just started crushing everything from GG 25Ks to every high roller we played. Even got second to him a few times in some big stuff live where he wouldn't chop with me heads up. Guy was a total savage. One of the greatest players of all time for sure. Genius poker player, but he met his maker at this final table here at WSOP Paradise, Bahamas. I had just gotten 47th in this tournament out of like 2,000 people. It was absolutely massive. $6 million for first. For the prize pool, kind of flat, not that top heavy. Like it could have been like 10 million for first or something. There was 50 million in the prize pool down there, but in any case, massive final table. And this is just a series of unreal hands that I was really excited to review. At the time, I had gone to the bar, crushing Kyle Golds with my Lithuanian buddies, Panikov Stable. Some of those guys even said I'm their favorite player, so they better talk to Panikovs about that. I don't know about that, Dominicus. But yeah, Lithuania. I love my Lithuanian boys. I got a lot of fans there, apparently. So hopefully you guys are watching this too. But yeah, crazy spot, crazy tournament. I was a little hung watching this, and I'm just gonna kind of go through. I was just eating Chex Mix in the room, having a couple brews at the end of a long trip, and I was watching. I'm just gonna tell you kind of what I was thinking when I was watching this hand, because this hand's absolutely insane, and it starts a bit of a tailspin for Mikey. We know he can handle it because he won all the money anyway, but like it was tough to watch because he didn't necessarily do anything wrong. He just ran into some plays that are completely unexpected, in my opinion, when I was watching it. But I'm just gonna kind of talk you through my thoughts and what I expected and what I was thinking when I was watching and what I would be thinking in game. So here we got, Yinan absolute turns out to be a maniac, but this is the first hand I even watched or very close to it. So we're 7-handed. Like I said, flat payouts, not a lot of incentive to gamble. I can tell you one thing about this final table and what Bucket Hat does. They did not care one bit about the payout structure or not gambling. You can see Bonomo's hanging around on 13 big blinds. Liv Bowery had like 22 and a half at this time. She folded couple 40 big blind and 50 big blind stacks. So Liv and Bonomo are short. Yinan's also one of the shorter stacks here. I think he's in second to last here. But he's, in terms of outlasting Bonomo, doesn't care one bit. He was just going for it. He wanted that $6 million. He ended up getting it. It was sick. Liv Bowery at this final table was not someone you wanted to be in a folding contest with. Maybe he knew that, but she just open folded like ace-7 suited in the cutoff and stuff like that. Not saying that to try to criticize. I'm just saying as a strategical point, she was going to outlast you, like, by all means, unless she got cooler. Like, she was kind of hanging around there. Shout out Carrie Katz. So I know that's the last guy I want to get in a folding contest with at a final table. So this happened to be a mystery hand too, which was insane because I was just like watching. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but this kid probably just has something sick somehow. But he opens under the gun 7. So I'm not going to say too much technical stuff because we'll look at it. But obviously under the gun 7 into Mike chip lead in the big blind. It's going to be a super tight range, right? It's going to be less than 15%. Again, I'm not sure. This kid was kind of a gangster. I don't know if he was actually going to be that tight, but he's supposed to be. It's supposed to be something like ace 10 off plus, maybe even king jack off is like not opening all the time. Just so many people behind, short stacks, shallow pay jumps, all that good stuff. Like just kind of, he wants to kind of be on lockdown. And, you know, especially for a young guy that's at his first final table, I would have expected him to be kind of first big final table like this. I would have expected him to be kind of tight into Mike's big blind, because he even said it in his interview afterwards, like he watched Bonomo growing up. He's watched Addamo. Like these guys were definitely legends of the game, and he knows that they're still super capable of putting everyone in a spot at any moment. So I would have thought that he would have been at least adhering to what he should pre-flop, which would be, like I said, high card heavy. Again, like he's probably not smashing, you know, pocket fours here, potentially not even sevens, depending on if he opens that hand or not. So mostly overpairs and high cards, some suited aces. So when he gets a board like this, again, the first thing I'm thinking is Mikey going to bust out any leads here? Probably not, just because it's too tight of a range that he's up against. Does he want to lead his hand? Probably not, because it's decent hand at kind of generating some C-bets from some king, queen, queen, jack type stuff, or whatever the case may be. So I'm thinking, okay, this should probably go check, check a lot. This is not a very fun board for Yinan. Like, it's got a lot of connectivity to a wide chip leader defend, and Mike is actually going to be even wider. So, you know, if Mike's not supposed to have something like Jack 8 offsuit here or whatever, he might. In any case, he'll still have those low offsuit connectors and stuff. So I think that this board has a lot of connectivity for a chip leader range, and I'm pretty scared to c-bet it. I'm definitely scared to c-bet it for a small size, because that's going to get me floated a lot by a bunch of different types of straight draws, gutters, backdoor spades, you know, jack of clubs, queen, whatever the case may be. All those things that have some of that equity, where I really want, as this under the gun 7 player, to get a fold here, like, or just check and kind of try to realize my equity. And it's kind of scary to play a big pot on a board that can start changing so quickly for us, where we can't really bluff catch or value bet the way we can in a chippy V scenario, when, again, like I've said it a couple times, but the idea when I keep saying shallow pay jumps is it's not like a normal tournament. Like the WSOP main event, you got 10 mil up top. There's a huge pay jump between second and first. There's a big one between third and second. It's kind of like, once you get there, go for the win, right? Here, it really wasn't the case, even though 6 million is a huge number compared to the incremental payouts. It really wasn't. No one was really incentivized to gamble, but some guys have their own ideas going on. And I was kind of, like I said, I'm just at this point, 47th, cashed for 140K, kind of butthurt about the week. And I'm just kind of eating checks mix right now, watching this go down. And I'm thinking, is Addamo in the tank about leading? But he's not kind of like one of the slowest players of all time and does everything after 28 seconds. Doesn't really mean too much. Now, we have a teenager in a bucket hat just tanking, and I'm scared. Like, if I'm like, he looks like he's already up to something. By no means am I picking on this guy either. This was like performance unreal, shredded everybody, max value everywhere. But when I see this bet, I'm just like, yeah, I hate this bet. Me being a nerd, I'm kind of like, oh, you should probably just check or bet big. Like, you don't want to let him realize. But does it matter? It depends. It doesn't matter versus people that aren't going to put you in tough spots. Does it matter versus Mike? Yeah, probably, because he's probably going to do some nasty stuff and float you with some backdoors or check raise you more often versus this bet. Maybe exploitatively, I'd do this if I flopped, you know, top set, or I had like a big nut flush draw that was like kind of a sweet hand where I don't mind getting floated. Or if Mike starts to mess with me, I just have like really easy continues. I don't really want to do this stuff with like middle of my range. Maybe some of my like one club air hands I'd be happy with, but I would have been really heavy check here. And I'm not even sure. Maybe this solver is going to do like, you know, I looked a little bit into this stuff where it's like we might see some big bets, we might see some goofy like all ins, which to me are really difficult to navigate at, you know, just jamming for SPR 3.5 or whatever it is. So I don't really advise anyone to do that stuff, including myself. Only time I did it really in a few spots, like last year I did one in Jeju, the big jam, just completely wrong. Looked like a dumbass.
He's looking back. He has a lot of equity that he certainly doesn't want to get blown off of.
A lot of turns he can barrel, and he shoves. Wow.
Oh, he just goes for jam. That's an interesting play.
And Josh is going to snap, and this is really bad news for Nick.
That was unique.
That was interesting, yeah.
Sucked out. I haven't done it since. So here we go. Mystery hand still. Maybe some of you guys already saw this. I'm not going to tell you what he's got. I'm also not going to sit through all Mike's tanks here. So Mike calls. So like I said, when I'm sitting there, I'm like, easy check raise, chip leader, just start getting it in versus this small bet. And now when we get to the turn, I think it's interesting. Like I said, in position, very tight. But what are his offsuit hands that he has? He definitely has some king jack and some king queen, which pick up equity here. And if I'm Mike, I probably want to let this check through a bunch. I definitely do have some 9-10 off. I don't have 9-7 off. I don't think I'm supposed to have any sort of real connection with this card because of how I'm supposed to play my offsuit connectors. But Mike probably has a different idea of how he plays his own range, right? So if Mike thinks he has Jack-8 off and 6-8 off pre-flop and 9-4 suited and stuff like that, sure. Do I think it makes sense to lead into a card that actually does connect with in position's equity holdings? Like this guy could have just picked up a double gutter with king jack, nut gutter with king queen, open ender with queen jack. He certainly could have had 9s in that small c bet. I would check it back, but it's a pretty natural hand maybe for someone a little bit less experienced in these post-flop ICM scenarios or that somebody just doesn't want to adhere as strongly as I'm suggesting to just throw out that c bet. In any case, Mike does lead B25. Now this is where just checks, mix, brews, kind of watching, interested. Okay, small c bet lead. This is where I'm kind of all right, this is probably a difficult spot with some value hands. You might need to make an uncomfortable jam because if Mike is doing this, he can have so many different open-enders, gutters, whatever the case may be, flush draws that you want to deny. Now we get hit with our, basically a min raise. And now I'm did he just turn pocket 9s?
You're here because you want this, and the moments only few get to actually live out. You play hard, you grind, you put in the hours, but is it ever really enough? The wins are small, the losses hit harder, and no matter how much you try, you're just not consistent. There's too much noise out there. The best strategy, the newest secrets, and not enough focused knowledge to actually grow your game. That's why we built a library of focused and dedicated lessons you need to know from the high-stakes pros you love. Common spots, final table analysis, and interactive live webinars, all from Nick Petrangelo, Ike Haxton, Daniel Dvoress, and more. If you're ready to gain the edge you've been looking for, sign up today at GTOLAB.com and stay ahead of the curve.
But if I had pocket 9s, I'd still be kind of scared of letting rivers roll off at this SPR. It's not that comfortable. So now I'm well, what makes sense here? Pocket 10s, pocket 9s, jacks, queens, kings, aces? No, definitely not, right? We don't want to let him peel all these different. He could have pair plus straight draw, flush draw, straight draw, pair plus flush draw, just a bare sort of queen jack hand. It's not very fun to let him peel any of those. So I don't put him on. I'm thinking this is stone nutted to either top set or have turned middle set, which we also don't think he's going to. I said he might see bet that, but it's, I would just think that most players check back 9s, needing zero protection, not getting much value, plays really bad against the check raise. Now, from Mike's perspective, he might have thought a primary bluff could have been king jack. Although when I think about a king jack, using a king jack as a bluff, I feel like that's just too much equity on the turn to put in 20 with 53 back. That's so uncomfortable unless you're positive that Mike isn't going to play jams, which why would you ever give that read on Mike, right? He's just the number one guy that you don't really know what he's going to do. So I don't think, we have the luxury of sitting there watching and just looking at the screen and being like, what's going on here? But if I think about kind of everything put together, my hand as Mike gets really good really fast because I'm kind of just like, this guy just, his value hand is top set here. The queen is irrelevant, right? Like he didn't have pocket queens. He didn't raise a bluff with a queen and then value jam the river. It's not queen 9 suited. It's not queen 10. It's not ace queen of clubs. It's just a set or a bluff, in my opinion. There's no straight he can have. I don't think many players are willing to take that double gutter with a hand that also King Jack versus Mike's bluffs is still good with high cards. And its 6 outs might actually win versus a pair, right? Mike will definitely just take this B25 line with some 10x like he did. And then your King and Jack are good. So to me, it wouldn't make too much sense to have King Jack. It's really difficult to think about these things in game. And all the things I said about Mike getting shredded by this kid are like pretty much a joke because this is a really impossible spot. I'm sitting there after Bus tournament. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I don't know how, but seems like this kid probably has it because he's playing for giant money against one of the greatest players of all time. And he's running a bluff that looks like it makes complete sense. He's a stone cold killer, he's looking the same since the hand started. And I'm just thinking like, he's got to have it somehow, but how? He c-bet 9s and then he turned his set and then he basically min-raised or pocket 10s or here we go. Mike stares him down like he's not giving anything up. Mike pitches it. He's just got red ace jack, baby. Let's go. Like straight blocker, kinda. But I mean, unbelievable hand. And I would say he probably just made the read like, man, this guy's probably not bluffing me in this spot right now because it's a gigantic spot and I'm Mike Addamo. But you know what, man? These young guys don't care anymore. They just don't care. They're coming after us. So it's good to know. So thanks for watching and we'll be back with part 2.